I want to just, as we get ready to begin, I want to give a shout out notice to some of our affiliates. We have Officer New Bolton, who is in Dallas. We want to give a shout out to him. He's one of our officers there that we depend on greatly, and we want to say Barakatah Yahweh.
Barakatah Yahweh.
And to Elder Darrell Fields, who's over in San Antonio, Texas, again, one of our other affiliates who have been holding up the bloodstained banner over there and standing flat-footed. Want to say Barakatah Yahweh to him too.
Barakatah Yahweh.
And we have some other brothers that are with us. We have Brother Araziah. He's from London. We have Brother Dominic, who's from Sheffield. And we have some sisters also from California, Sister Baylor. And we have Sister Marcia Skinner from Youngstown, Ohio. And we want to give much praise for all of those. This is just to mention just a few. We're going to keep you in prayer each week because you've been so much of a blessing. Our sister over in California, she's been like a private investigator. She pulls up some things and gets some videos and she sends it, and I send it out to some of you all so that you can send it, pass it on. But my goodness, so some things now that are now exposing themselves to us, that we can now begin to see that the enemy truly is awake and truly looking to destroy the children of the Most High God. Yes. At this time, ladies and gentlemen, the teaching I would like you to pay attention to and to consider, the title of it is Drunken by the Wine of Deceit. Drunken by the wine of deceit. We do know that one of the purposes of wine is really to bring joy. But in the midst of all of that, you'll find that some drink it to the excess that it brings out the more dangerous side of that individual. We're going to begin by going, if you please, to the book of Joel chapter 1. Let's go to Joel chapter 1 first and foremost. And we're going to read there so that we can get some basic understanding. All right. Joel chapter 1. Let's begin, officer.
From the top?
From the top.
The book of Joel, chapter 1, verse 1. The word of the Most High that came to Joel, the son of Pethuel.
Go on.
Hear this, ye old men, and give ear, all ye inhabitants of the land.
Go on.
Have this been in your days, or even in the days of your fathers?
Go on.
Tell ye your children of it, and let your children tell their children, and their children another generation.
So, has anyone seen anything like this that's happening in their days? Who has seen such a thing? Who has seen the world stand still? No one. This is the first time in history that every country in the world has geared themselves on the same rhetoric that's been going on. We've been told a story. We've been given a fable. And many of us have swallowed the pill, and drank a couple of gallons of water to wash it down. Because we believe so much what the enemy is saying. And here's the joke. Many of our people are running and going to the hospital, not realizing you're setting yourself up as bait. That when you go there, they now begin to target you and use you as an example to experiment with what they're experimenting with. You see, our people, they say, are the ones who are dying the highest from what's going on. And I don't get it. Because how is it that our people are dying the most? Except for the fact that you get us there and you begin to inject us with things that you're not injecting to others. That's the only logical explanation I can think on it. And I'm not a medical individual. How is it that we're dying? Yet still, you know that genetically our people are superior when it comes to our physiognomy. You know this, yet We are the ones that are dying every time we step into your hospital, every time we step into your clinics. The scripture says clearly here, it says, the word of the Lord that came to Joel, the son of Peniel, and says what? Hear this,
ye old men,
go on,
and give ear, all ye inhabitants of the land,
read,
that this been in your days, or even in the days of your fathers. Tell ye your children of it, and let your children tell their children, and their children another generation.
Another generation. Let's go to Micah chapter 2. Micah chapter 2 and verse 11. Let's go there, if you please.
The book of Micah, chapter 2 and verse 11. If a man walking in the spirit and falsehood do lie.
Hold it. Read it again. If a man
Walking in the spirit and falsehood do lie.
Read.
Saying, I will prophesy unto thee of wine.
Of what?
Of wine.
Of what?
Of wine.
Go on.
And of strong drink.
Read.
He shall even be the prophet of this people.
Be the what? The prophet of this people.
Come.
Let's go back to Joel chapter 1. Let's go back there. Let's read, if you please, verse 4.
The book of Joel, chapter 1 and verse 4. That which the palmer worm have left have the locust eaten, and that which the locusts have left have the cankerworm eaten.
All right, before we go any further, we're going to read it all again, but let's pull some precepts. Hold that, Deuteronomy 28 and 38.
Come.
Let's go.
Deuteronomy chapter 28 and verse 38. It reads, Thou shalt carry much seed out into the field.
Go on.
And shalt gather but little in.
Notice, you're going to carry much seed out into the field.
Come.
And shall gather but a little in. Why? Go on.
For the locust.
For what?
For the locust.
Go on.
Shall consume it.
Shall consume it.
Come.
Go back to Joel chapter 1 and verse 4. Let's read.
Joel chapter 4 and verse 1.
From the top.
That which the palmer worm have left.
Go on.
Have the locust eaten.
Go on.
And that which the locusts have left. Have the cankerworm eaten.
Have the cankerworm eaten. All right, let's go back again to Deuteronomy 28. Now I want you to read verse 17. Deuteronomy chapter 28 and verse 17. Let's read.
Deuteronomy chapter 28 and verse 17. Cursed shall be thy basket and thy store.
So anything that we have is going to be cursed. No matter how successful you become and you get by, you will never be like the rest or the other nations. Go on. Finish it.
Cursed shall be the fruit of thy body.
Go on.
And the fruit of thy land, the increase of thy kind, and the flocks of thy sheep.
Flocks of thy sheep. Now, let's deal with the, let's read on a little bit.
Verse 19. Cursed shalt thou be when thou comest in, and cursed shalt thou be when thou goest out.
All right. Go on.
The Most High shall send.
Do me a favor, jump back up and read verse 5.
Yes, sir. Deuteronomy chapter 28 and verse 5. It reads, Blessed shall be thy basket and thy store.
So we're meant to be blessed. It's telling you you're meant to be blessed, but you cannot be blessed because A, you have the wrong spirit currently. B, you're in the wrong geographical location. And C, everyone that you traffic among, even though they give you a pleasant smile, they do not like you. I know that's hard for you to receive. I know because you have some good friends. I know. But one good friend does not omit all the others. So let's go back to Joel chapter 1 And let's read verse 5, please.
The book of Joel, chapter 1 and verse 5.
Go.
Awake, ye drunkards, and weep and howl, all ye drinkers of wine. Because
All you what?
all ye drinkers of wine.
Read.
Because of the new wine.
Because of what?
Because of the new wine.
Go on.
For it is cut off from your mouth.
From your mouth. Let's go to Micah chapter 2 and 11 to get a precept there. Just go and turn the heat up a little bit. Yeah, turn the heat down just a little. Let's get a little air conditioning. No, I don't have just turn the heat down.
The book of Micah, chapter 2 and verse 11.
Go on.
If a man walking in the spirit and falsehood do lie, saying, I will prophesy unto thee of wine and of strong drink,
Go on.
he shall even be the prophet of this people.
All right. Now I want you to hold that. Let's go to, in fact, go to Jeremiah chapter 51 and 7. Jeremiah. And let's read.
The book of Jeremiah, chapter 51 and verse 7.
Read slowly, please.
Babylon have even a gold Salaki, have been a golden cup in the Most High's hand,
In the Most High's hand, go on.
that made all the earth drunken.
Made what?
Made all the earth drunken.
Go on.
The nations have drunken of her wine.
Drank of her wine. Now that we know that, I want you to highlight that scripture. Highlight it, put some ticks there. Let's go back to Joel for a quick minute. Let's tie some things together there. Just turn it down, so let's move. All right, what I want you to do is to read Joel chapter 1, let's read verse 5 again.
Yes, sir. The book of Joel, chapter 1 and verse 5. Awake, ye drunkards, and weep and howl, all ye drinkers of wine, because of the new wine, for it is cut off from your mouth.
Now remember what we just read in Jeremiah. Continue.
For a nation is come up upon my land,
Go on.
strong and without number,
Without number, go on.
whose teeth are the teeth of a lion.
That nation, its whole objectivity is to be ravenous and violent. Go on.
And he hath the cheek teeth of a great lion.
Of a great lion. Because its purpose is to tear you to shreds.
That's right.
This will make more sense as we go on. Now, I want to ask you very quickly. What was the clue's already been given, but just by a show of hands first. I don't want anyone shouting now. Whose captivity was Jeremiah under? By a show of hands. Whose captivity was Jeremiah under? All right, go ahead.
Wasn't he under the Babylonian captivity?
Babylonian captivity. We've read it several times. And I read it, that's why I had it reread a couple of times to see if anyone was going to make a note of it, capture it. Because he was under Babylonian captivity. Now, to understand how this works, what we are reading in the book of Joel here is dealing with Isaiah being under the captivity of whom, ladies and gentlemen? Of whom? Because Isaiah was also under captivity, but whose captivity was he under? Go ahead, ma'am. Assyrian captivity. It was Assyrian captivity first, followed by the Babylonian captivity. That's Isaiah. Then you see Jeremiah was under Babylonian captivity. Go on. And that, so in order to help you understand this a little bit, when you read the scriptures, what book comes after Jeremiah? Lamentations. And Lamentation is, why is it there? Because they're going into captivity, Babylonian captivity. And it was at that time they also saw under Babylonian captivity the temple was destroyed. So it made them lament. And that's what the book of Lamentations is all about. They were weeping because remember the temple was their place. We right now, ladies and gentlemen, as Israel, we don't have a temple.
Yeah.
We are operating under Christianity rules,
Right.
which is we who are the church build a church. So we who are the church build a church and we go to church. Don't understanding that we're the church and we can't go to who we are. What we do as the church, we assemble together. And when we assemble together, we get instruction from the Spirit of the Most High by His Word, and we strengthen one another by sharpening one another. Iron sharpens iron. Believe it or not, you are stronger when you are with your brethren.
Right.
I know that's hard for you to believe that, because in the Christian church you feel so alone. You go to the Christian church and then you clap your hands, you get happy, then you leave, and if you have some friends, then you hang with them. But most people go to these large churches and come out. They're alone when they went in, they're alone when they leave.
Right. That's true.
But with the truth, you know who we are. We're brothers. So our relationship doesn't stop because we assemble together. It continues. And that's why we know how our spirit is when we're calling one another, we're connected. Just to say, hi, how you doing? Just checking on you. This is what Israel does.
That's right.
Not what we've been taught to do in Christianity. Christianity has made us fake. That's tough and quiet up here. But that's what it's all about. We're meant to be closer. We used to sing the song, Closer Than a Brother. Jesus is to me. He's my dearest friend. He's everything I need. He is my rock, my soul, my shield, my soul, my shield. Closer than a brother, Jesus is to me. We used to sing those songs to encourage. But so you're not seeing Jesus. You're seeing your brother. It is his example that helps us to love our brother and get close to our brothers and sisters. Can't? And so when we understand that now, we see where we're going. Let's take this. Let's go to Daniel. Go to the book of Daniel real quick, please. Daniel chapter 1. Daniel chapter 1. And let's read, let's see, Daniel chapter 1. Make it 7. Daniel chapter 7, Salaki. And we're going to read verse 1 there. Let's go.
The book of Daniel, chapter 7 and verse 1.
Read.
In the first year of Belshazzar, king of Babylon,
Read.
Daniel had a dream and visions of his head
Go on.
upon his bed.
Go on.
Then he wrote the dream and told the sum of the matters.
Read.
Daniel spake and said, I saw in my vision by night, and behold, the four winds of the heaven strove upon the great sea.
Great sea. Now, let's get some geographical locations here, because you need to understand where's this assumption being made in terms of location? Well, it says Great Sea. That's our first key. The Great Sea is considered to be the Mediterranean Sea. So, here he says this is the Mediterranean Sea, and he said he sees four great beasts. Go on, read on.
And four great beasts came up from the sea,
Go on.
diverse one from another.
Read.
The first was like a lion, and had eagle's wings.
All right. So before we go any further, let's hold that. Let's jump to Ecclesiastes chapter 3 and 18. Then we're coming right back to Daniel chapter 7 and 4. Let's go. Let's go.
Ecclesiastes chapter 3 and verse 18.
Go on.
I said in mine heart concerning the estate of the sons of men, that God might manifest them, and that they might see that they themselves are beasts.
Are beasts.
Come.
Now, why is that so important? You need to underline that scripture, because if you don't understand that, you will not understand what's written in the New Testament, where it says, go and preach and teach this to every creature. You see? Because here we just read where it's calling us a beast. Not that we are literal beasts, but it is giving you the understanding. Read it one more time.
Ecclesiastes chapter 3 and verse 18. I said in mine heart concerning the estate of the sons of men,
Read.
that God might manifest them, and that they might see that they themselves are beasts.
Beast. Because remember, all mankind literally is a beast, because sometimes we carry on bestial. We do some very inhuman things to one another. And we have relationships that we should not have. Let's leave that alone.
That's right.
But let's go back to Daniel and let's read verse 4.
Yes, sir. The book of Daniel, chapter 7 and verse 4. The first was like a lion.
Like what?
Like a lion.
Like a lion. Go on.
And had eagle's wings.
Go on.
I beheld, till the wings thereof were plucked, and it was lifted up from the earth.
From the earth. Let's hold that for a quick minute, but I want us to continue where you just hit, on the earth. So let's not miss that. And I want us to go to Jeremiah chapter 4 and 6, I think it is. 4 and 6 as opposed to 4 and 5. What did I say?
Jeremiah 4 and 6.
Right.
The book of Jeremiah, chapter 4 and verse 6.
Read.
It reads, set up the standard toward Zion.
Read.
Retire, stay not, for I will bring evil from the north and a great destruction.
Now, that evil from the north is dealing with a nation of people. Right? All right. Let's drop that. Jeremiah chapter 16 and 15. Let's start 14. Jeremiah 16 and 14. Let's read.
The book of Jeremiah, chapter 16 and verse 14. Therefore, behold, the days come, saith the Most High, that it shall no more be said, the Most High liveth, that brought up the children of Israel out of the land of Egypt.
Please don't overlook the term brought his children out of the land of Egypt. We're going to be dealing with that a little bit later. These are key. We're not reading scriptures for scripture's sake. We're reading because it points us and gives us an opportunity to build a premise here. So it tells us in the latter clause, the Lord liveth that brought up the children of Israel out of the land of Egypt. Now watch it, read on.
Verse 15. But the Most High liveth,
Read.
that brought up the children of Israel from the land of the north.
Land of the north. See how many times we've used that statement? All right. Read on, sir.
And from all the lands, whether he had driven them.
Where he drove us to be. Where he led us into captivity to be. All right, let's, did you finish it?
No, sir.
Finish it for me.
And I will bring them again into their land that I gave unto their fathers.
Baba Gashar, please. All right, let's go back. All right. So, when we're here now, back in Daniel chapter 7, we're going to read up where we left off from the latter clause of verse 4.
Yes, sir.
Go on.
In Daniel chapter 7, verse 4, latter clause. And made stand upon the feet as man.
As what?
As man.
Go on.
And Salaki, and a man's heart was given to it.
Was given to it. All right. Now, let's read just a part of verse 5, because that part, we're just going to read the first clause of it. it's tied again to Ecclesiastes chapter 3 and 18.
Okay.
We just read it, so we don't go back there, where it says that man is as a beast, right?
Okay.
So let's read 5.
Then verse 5. And behold, another beast, a second, like to a bear, and it raised up itself on one side.
One side, we could stop there.
Okay.
Right? So we've got that in mind. Now what we need to do is go to, let's go to Jeremiah chapter 4 and 6, please. Did you go there?
Yes, sir. Even from the
Right, so let's see that. Second Kings. Let's go to 2 Kings 24. 2 Kings 24. Read what you got.
From the top.
2 Kings 24 and from the top.
The book of 2 Kings, chapter 24, verse 1.
Read.
In his days, Nebuchadnezzar, king of Babylon, came up, and Jehoiakim became his servant 3 years.
He became what?
Became his servant 3 years.
Go on.
Then he turned and rebelled against him.
All right. So, what did we just read? Somebody tell me. He came up in his days. Nebuchadnezzar, king of Babylon, came up, and Jehoiakim, go on.
And Jehoiakim became his servant 3 years. Then he turned and rebelled against him.
Read.
And the Most High sent against him bands of the Chaldees.
All right, let's go back. Let's read it again because I want you to not miss it. And I need you to see if you can see it and figure it out. It's very simple, very clear. Read it again, please.
2 Kings chapter 24, verse 1.
Read.
In his days, Nebuchadnezzar, king of Babylon,
Go on.
came up, and Jehoiakim became his servant 3 years.
Go on.
Then he turned and rebelled against him.
So, what was Jehoiakim doing to Nebuchadnezzar? I purposely had you read it 3 times. Heaven help me. Go ahead. Window, go on.
Shalom, Dr. Johnson.
Shalom to you, sir.
He had, well, first, Jehoiakim had already been told by one of the prophets that he wasn't supposed to do that. He was just supposed to do what he was
Say
told.
that again. Slow it down for me.
Jehoiakim had been told previously, by one of the prophets
All right,
that
so Jehoiakim had been told previously by one of the prophets, go on,
to not rebel, but
to do what?
to not to rebel,
To not rebel, go on.
and so that it would be well with him. But of course, he didn't listen.
So it would be well with him. He didn't listen, became stiff-necked, go on.
And here, when Nebuchadnezzar came up, he made the decision to try to fight against him.
Go on.
And although I don't know if it's in this chapter, but later on you find out that he got his eyes put out.
All right, okay. All right, let's hold it there. Right now, let's read the next verse, verse 2.
2 Kings chapter 24 and verse 2. And the Most High sent against him bands of the Chaldees, and bands of the Syrians,
Go on.
and bands of the Moabites,
Go on.
and bands of the children of Ammon,
So the Most High sent a whole lot of people against them. Go on.
and sent them against Judah to destroy it.
To do what?
To destroy it,
Go on.
according to the word of the Most High, which he spake by his servants the prophets.
So if the Most High tells us to do something, you had better do it. Because what the enemy tries to do is to get up in your spirit and make you think that you are self-sufficient. We are never self-sufficient. The only reason why we can stay ahead of what's going on in the world presently is to get more in the spirit. The scripture says we walk not by sight, we walk by faith.
That's right.
Some of the things that's happened to us, if we walk in the spirit, you will find that you will sidestep landmines, or I'm not speaking literal land, I'm talking about things that the enemy has set for us. And you wonder, how did I miss that? Because Scripture says that the Most High will order your footsteps. And when you would have went a certain way, something in your spirit said, leave that way, go this way. Because you are his children. And he's trying to protect your stiff-necked self from you. Because we need to get out of the way and let him, Most High, get in the way.
That's right.
Huh? And so we see here that this is what this man found himself in. Let's jump back a little bit. Let's go to Jeremiah chapter 4 and 6. Let's just run back there quickly.
The book of Jeremiah, chapter 4 and verse 6.
Go on.
It reads, set up the standard toward Zion.
Read.
Retire, stay not, for I will bring evil from the north and a great destruction.
And hold it. He said he will bring evil from the north and a great destruction.
That's right.
Now let's go back to 2 Kings and let's read again what that great destruction was for. Let's go straight to verse 2. 2 Kings chapter 24 and verse 2.
Yes, sir. 2 Kings chapter 24 and verse 2. And the Most High sent against him bands of the Chaldees.
Go on.
And bands of the Syrians.
Go on.
And bands of the Moabites.
Read on.
And bands of the children of Ammon. And sent them against Judah to destroy it.
To what?
To destroy it.
There's the destruction
Come.
that you just read. Where?
Jeremiah chapter 4 verse 6.
Come. Are you seeing this, ladies and gentlemen? Making sense to you so far?
Yes.
All right. Now, let's take it a step further, if you please. I think what I want to do is go back to Joel chapter 2 and 18. Joel chapter 2. Joel chapter 2 and 18. Go ahead and read.
The book of Joel, chapter 2 and verse 18. Then will the Most High be jealous for his land and pity his people.
So, here you're reading, it said the Most High will be jealous for his people, for his land.
Come.
Read it again, please.
Joel chapter 2 and verse 18. Then will the Most High be jealous for his land and pity his people.
So, we see here that now Israel is in captivity. By the way, who knows how many years that they were in captivity for? Can anyone tell me? Babylonian captivity. Don't guess it, but please tell me if you have it. Go ahead, sir.
Shalom, Dr.
Shalom to you, sir.
70 years?
Say again?
70 years?
70 years. 70 years. Make a note of that. 70 years. The number 7 deals with completion. The Most High had to completely bring Israel to a point of being subservient. 70 years. See how many generations have gone by with that? Now, let's put a precept there. Let's go to Jeremiah 25. This is your precept now to what you're reading, okay? Jeremiah 25 and 12.
The book of Jeremiah, chapter 25 and verse 12. And it shall come to pass, when 70 years are accomplished,
See that? Go on.
that I will punish the king of Babylon
Go on.
and that nation, saith the Most High,
Read.
for their iniquity and the land of the Chaldeans, and will make it perpetual desolations.
Now, you see, they touched us. They harmed us. There is no one in the history of mankind that will ever touch us, that will ever get away with that. This is why, even now, with what they're trying to do, giving you the lie, telling you that your people die more from this virus, they don't know they're setting themselves up for a perpetual punishment. Let's read it again, sir.
Jeremiah chapter 25 and verse 12.
I have to get one of those brothers to come and read it. Go ahead.
And it shall come to pass when 70 years.
When what?
When 70 years
Right, 70 years.
are accomplished, that I will punish the king of Babylon and that nation, saith the Most High.
All right, so brothers, how many years were they in captivity for? All right, brothers. All right, let me see by show of hands. All right, Dusterous.
70 years.
70 years. All right. Let's read on verse 13, sir.
Verse 13. And I will bring upon that land all my words, which I have pronounced against it, even all that is written in this book, which Jeremiah hath prophesied against all the nations.
Against what?
Against all the nations.
Against all the nations.
Come.
Jump down. In fact, let's go to chapter 29. Chapter 29 and verse 10, please.
Jeremiah chapter 29 and verse 10.
Read.
For thus saith the Most High,
Read.
that after 70 years,
After what?
after 70 years,
After 70 years, go on.
be accomplished, at Babylon I will visit you and perform my good word toward you,
Read.
in causing you to return to this place.
Cause you what?
Causing you to return to this place.
Go on.
For I know the thoughts that I think toward you.
So when you are worried about what is happening, don't be worried, because he said, for I know the thoughts that I think towards you. Now let's see if the Most High is really thinking anything bad about your destruction or your demise. Go on.
Salaki, I think toward you, saith the Most High, thoughts of peace.
Thought of what?
Thoughts of peace.
So he's thinking about peace for you.
Come.
Read on.
And not of evil.
And he's not thinking evil. Why then do we continue with evil? Because of our own actions and our own stiff-neckedness.
That's right.
Go on.
To give you an expected end.
He says, I've got an expected end for you.
That's right.
Wow.
That's right.
That's just beautiful right there.
Come.
Let me see what this is. Yes. Jump to chapter 30 and read verse 11.
That's right. Jeremiah chapter 30 and verse 11. For I am with thee.
I am what?
For I am with thee.
For I am what?
For I am with thee.
Go on.
Saith the Most High.
Read.
To save thee.
To what?
To save thee.
He's going to save us.
That's right.
Yes, it looks bad. Yes, it seems hopeless, but he said he's going to save us.
Come.
For I am with thee, saith the Lord, to save thee. Read.
Though I make a full end of all nations,
Read.
whether I have scattered thee,
Read.
ye will I not, Salaki, ye will I not make a full end of thee.
Yet
But-
will I not make a full end of thee. Go
Come,
on.
but I will correct thee in measure,
Read.
and will not leave thee altogether unpunished.
So we're not going out of this unpunished, because there's some things we deserve a good smack.
That's right.
We do better.
Yes.
Go ahead, sir.
So, Dr. Thompson, shalom, Dr. Thompson.
Shalom to you.
So, what's really we're learning here is that forgiveness does not exactly cancel costs.
Exactly. Absolutely. Say that one more time.
What we're learning here is that forgiveness does not cancel cost.
Forgiveness does not cancel costs.
That's right.
Come on. So, wonder if we should jump any further.
You got a precept for that, what he said.
Go ahead, sir.
Got a precept. You go to Nahum, I think 1 and 3.
All right, let's go there.
Nahum 1 and 3.
Go ahead and read what you got.
That's right. The book of Nahum, chapter 1 and verse 3.
Go on.
The Most High is slow to anger.
He's what?
Is slow to anger.
He's slow to anger. Go on.
And great in power.
And great in what?
And great in power.
Great in power. All right, let's go to you finished it?
No, sir.
Go ahead.
And will not at all acquit the wicked, The Most High
Hold on. So is the wicked going to get away with anything?
No.
Nothing.
Do they think they're going to get away with it?
Yes, yes.
Oh, yes, they think so because nothing. What's happened to us?
Come.
Since we've started all this, nothing's happened to us. So the Most High must be with us then.
Right.
All right. Go on.
Nahum chapter 1 and verse 3, the latter clause. And will not at all acquit the wicked.
Read.
The Most High have his way in the whirlwind, and in the storm, and in the clouds are the dust of his feet.
On what?
Are the dust of his feet.
On the dust of his feet. Jeremiah chapter 4 and 6. Let's go back. Jeremiah chapter 4 and 6. Let's
Right.
read.
The book of Jeremiah, chapter 4 and verse 6. Set up the standard toward
Do
Zion.
what?
Set up the standard toward Zion.
Read it a moment ago. Read it again.
Set up the standard toward Zion.
Read.
Retire, stay not, for I will bring evil from the north and a great destruction.
And a great destruction. All right, let's jump to the book. Let's go to Revelation chapter 13:1, please. I'm trying to find something. Let's go there. Yeah, Revelation chapter 13 and 1.
It's the book of Revelation, chapter 13 and verse 1.
Now you'll see that we've kind of done a very quick synopsis of the studies of history where we as Israel have trafficated through by way of punishment, by way of our own stiff nakedness. But when we read Revelations chapter 13 and 1, let's read what he says there.
Revelation chapter 13 and verse 1. And I stood upon the sand of the sea and saw a beast rise up out of the sea.
So remember, we dealt with the beast because we spread that in the book of Daniel. And we saw the different areas that it was trying to explain to us the beast as in the behavior of mankind. So, and I stood upon the sand of the sea, I saw a beast rise up out of the sea. Now this is the first beast. Go on.
Having 7 heads.
Having what?
Having 7 heads.
Now this has been moved. John is now seeing this in the modern day. He's seeing the modern day start to take shape. He's seeing how the charismata of these nations, or the charisma of these nations, are trying to develop allies one with another so that they have friendships. Go on.
And 10 horns.
All right, so they had 7 heads and 10 horns. Tell me who the 7 horns are. Ben Yasharel. Tell me who the 7 horns are, and then you are up next, Brother Johanna. All right. So I said who I want first. So begin.
Rome.
Say again.
Rome.
Rome. Give it to me in. If you remember it in exactly how it's said, then you'll always remember it. If you otherwise you wonder it. If you know it sporadically, it's going to just. So, all right, Johanna,
Greece,
Greece,
Rome,
Rome,
Spain,
Spain,
France,
France,
Germany,
Russia,
United Kingdom.
and United Kingdom. God, those are the 7 heads. When we read here, read it again. Read Revelation chapter 13 and 1 again. Please.
Come, Revelation chapter 13 and verse 1. It reads.
If you have a precept, have it ready next if you do.
Come. And I stood upon the sand of the sea and saw a beast rise up out of the sea, having 7 heads and 10 horns, and upon his horns 10 crowns.
10 crowns. Now, who are the 10 horns? Let's see if we can work with that. Remember what we just read, we just saw the history of it. Now what I want you to do is to give me get some of these sisters involved. Now, what I want to see is who is involved with all of this. We gave you the platform, we gave you the foundation before. Now let's see how this works this way now. All right, so, sisters, who are the 10 horns? Who has it? You have it, ma'am? You don't have it in order? And why don't you have it in order? All right. Who has it in order first? Let's deal with those who have it in order first. All right. All right. Brothers have it, but let's see if the sisters have it. All right, Sister Elizabeth. You don't have it in order? Ah. All right. Now, let's see. All right. Let's have it. Give it to me how you have it, and then we're going to put it in order. Go ahead. So who's going to go first? Go ahead. Yes. Out of order. Let's have it.
France.
Uh-huh.
United Kingdom.
Uh-huh.
Italy.
Uh-huh.
Luxembourg.
Uh-huh.
Germany.
Who?
Germany.
Who? Oh, Germany. Yes. Okay. Yeah.
Denmark.
Go on.
Russia. Netherlands. Denmark.
Oh, you repeat
I'm
it.
sorry, Belgium.
Okay. All right. Let's put it in order. Ready? Now, do you have it in order?
Yes, sir.
All right. All right. Brother has it in order. Let's hear what brother has to say. Go ahead.
Okay, we begin with Belgium, France,
Hold it. Right down. So we have Belgium. Then we have France. Then who do we have?
okay, then, Germany,
Germany. Very good.
okay, Italy, Luxembourg, Netherlands,
Italy, Luxembourg, Netherlands. Notice he's doing this from memory.
okay, then
Go on.
Denmark,
Denmark. Go on.
Ireland,
Ireland.
United Kingdom,
Yes.
Greece,
Excellent. Excellent.
1957 to 1981 in Africa.
1957 to 1981. That's when they were first formulated. Excellent, my brother. Excellent. Now, since that time, there has been others. But that's when it began. Khan? All right. So, does everybody have it in order now?
Yes.
Good. Now, they are the ones. Let's go to Psalms. What's the precept? Psalms 83. Very good. You know, I'm tempted to say, but I've got to keep my mouth shut. Psalms 83. Now let's read what they are doing. Go ahead. We're starting from the top. We're going to read we're going to read the entire 18 verses. And there's a reason why, because usually we stop at verse 8. But we have to read the entire 18 verses to get the full understanding. Go ahead, sir.
It's the book of Psalms, chapter 83, from the top.
And you brothers, take notes. Go on.
Keep not thou silence, O God. Hold not thy peace, and be not still, O God.
And be not still. Go on.
For lo, thine enemies make a tumult.
So what?
Thine enemies make a tumult.
Now let's just clear that up so we have an understanding. Precept, Nehemiah, chapter 1 and verse 2. All right, so let's quickly go there.
The book of Nehemiah, chapter 1 and verse 2.
Read, sir.
That Hananiah, one of my brethren, came, he and certain men of Judah, And I asked them concerning the Jews that had escaped, which were left of the captivity, and concerning Jerusalem.
Go on.
And they said unto me, the remnant that are left of the captivity, there in the providence, are in great affliction.
Great affliction. Stop there. Let's go back.
Come, Psalms chapter 83 from the top. Keep not thou silence, O God. Hold not thy peace, and be not still, O God.
Read.
For lo, thine enemies make a tumult, and they that hate thee have lifted up the head.
Read.
They have taken crafty counsel against thy people.
So, first of all, the scripture lets us know they hate us.
Come.
Now, you're trying to say, oh, but not all of them. Oh, what am I going to say here?
Come.
You know, I know we do business. I know some of you are doctors and you treat them. Do it. Some of you own companies. Do it. We happen to still be in the land of our captivity. We have to continue as normal.
That's right.
The scripture says, what does it say? It says, what does it say? It says, occupy till he comes.
That's right.
So we have to still be in occupation until he comes. We don't change all of that. But just don't be naive. Don't be so gullible. Someone pays you a compliment and you lose your mind over it. Receive it. Thank you very much. Move forward.
Come.
The scripture, remember, the scripture warns us not to be violent. It tells us to live at peace with all men, as much as possible. It tells us that. So this is not a teaching for you to go and start taking up swords and armor against others. It's letting you know that some things don't lose your mind over it, because we so love when Master tells us something. Oh, Master told me this. Huh? All right.
Come.
Continue, please.
Psalm chapter 83, verse 3. They have taken crafty counsel against thy people, and consulted against thy hidden ones.
Read.
They have said, come and let us cut them off from being a nation.
All right, so let's prove the hidden ones for a quick minute. Luke 12 and 2. Luke 12 and 2.
It's the book of Luke, chapter 12 and verse 2. For there is nothing covered that shall not be revealed, neither hid that shall not be known.
Con? All right, that's the precept there. Let's go back.
Psalms, chapter 83 and verse 4. They have said, come and let us cut them off from being a nation.
Read.
That the name of Israel may be no more in remembrance.
Go on.
For they have consulted together with one consent.
With one consent, go on.
They are confederate against thee.
Read.
The tabernacles of Edom and the Ishmaelites of Moab.
All right, let's back up just a little bit. Let's give you some precepts.
Come.
Go to Isaiah 49 and 14 for me, please. Let's do with remembrance. Verse 4 of Psalms. Go on.
Salaki, Isaiah chapter 49 and verse 14. But Zion said, the Most High hath forsaken me,
Read.
and my Lord hath forgotten me.
Go on.
Can a woman forget her suckling child,
Read.
that she should not have compassion on the son of her womb?
Read.
Yea, they may forget, yet will I not forget thee.
What verse you want?
Verse 15.
Read 16. Stop.
Behold, I have graven thee upon the palms of my hand.
Read.
Thy walls are continually before me.
Go on. All right, Jeremiah 11 and 19, real quick. Jeremiah 11 and 19.
Jeremiah chapter 11 and verse 19.
Go on.
But I was a lamb or an ox that is brought to the slaughter,
Go on.
and I knew not that they had devised devices against me, saying, let us destroy the tree with the fruit thereof, and let us cut him off from the land of the living.
Are you seeing this?
Come.
This is what they are saying. All right. Finish that.
Come. that his name may be no more remembered.
No more remembered.
Come.
Jump to 31 and 36. Same book, 31 and 36. Same book, Jeremiah.
Jeremiah chapter 31 and verse 36. It reads, if those ordinances depart before me, saith the Most High, then the seed of Israel
Seed of
also,
what?
then the seed of Israel also shall cease from being a nation before me forever.
See that? That's beautifully put.
Come.
Just beautiful. All right. Now let's head back. Let's back to Psalms 83. Let's kick off at verse 6.
Yes, sir. The book of Psalms, chapter 83 and verse 6.
Now bear in mind, it is showing you all the names of the nations in order of priority. These are the nations who are acting, terribly against Israel to this very day. And if you know who they are, you can begin to pattern in your mind what you're seeing happening today happened back then as well.
Come.
Right.
So the hatred that they had for you has continued. It's the same game, different players in different suits. Read.
The book of Psalms, chapter 83 and verse 6. The tabernacles of Edom
Edom being the so-called white man. Go on.
and the Ishmaelites
And the Ishmael, the Arabs,
of Moab
Chinese.
and the Hagarenes.
Hagarenes are also kind of the Egyptians.
Come. Gabal,
Gabal, that could be seen as the Idumeans, Romans, Italians.
come. And Ammon
Ammon, Japanese, go on.
and Amalek.
Amalek, those who call themselves us.
Come. The Philistines
Philistines are the so-called Africans,
with the inhabitants of Tyre.
so-called Africans.
Ashur also is joined with them.
They are the so-called Assyrians.
They have helped the children of Lot.
Go on,
Selah.
go on.
Do unto them.
Do what?
Do unto them
Go on,
as unto the Midianites.
go on.
As to Sisera. As to Jabin at the brook of Kesson,
Go on.
which perished at Endor. They became as dung for the earth.
Read.
Make their nobles like Oreb and like Zeb, yea, all their princes as Zebah and as Zalmunna,
Go on.
who said, let us take ourselves the houses of God in possession.
See that?
Yes.
Go on.
Verse 13, oh my God, make them like a wheel, as the stubble before the wind,
Read.
as the fire burneth a wood, and as the flame setteth the mountains on fire.
Read.
So persecute them with thy tempest, and make them afraid with thy storm.
He will. Go on.
That's right. Fill their faces with shame, that they may seek thy name, O Most High. Let them be confounded and troubled forever. Yea, let them be put to shame and perish, that men may know that thou, whose name alone is Yahweh, art the Most High over all the earth. Selah.
Selah. Selah.
Amen.
Let's go to Jeremiah chapter 3 and 17.
Salakia.
Jeremiah chapter 3 and verse 17. Let's go.
Come. Jeremiah chapter 3 and verse 17. It reads, at that time they shall call Jerusalem the throne of the Most High.
Now, let's slow that down and read it again. I want to bring out a point here.
Come. Jeremiah chapter 3 and verse 17. At that time they shall call Jerusalem the throne of the Most High.
So Jerusalem is the throne of the Most High God.
That's right.
Jerusalem is the throne. Now watch what it goes on to say. Go on.
And all the nations,
And what?
and all the nations
Read.
shall be gathered unto it.
So that means all the nations from around the world must come and be gathered unto Jerusalem. Go on.
To the name of the Most High,
To the name of Yahweh.
to Jerusalem. Neither shall they walk any more after the imagination of their evil heart.
Go on.
In those days, the house of Judah shall walk in the house of Israel.
Now, it says the house, and those are the house of Judah,
Come.
which is what? Can anyone, let me see a show of hand. Go ahead. Justice, go ahead. Let me hear you. The what?
The southern kingdom.
The southern kingdom. Very good. Shall walk with the house of Israel. Who is the house of Israel? Sisters. Northern kingdom. And it says, read.
And they shall come together out of the land of the north.
So you see, it says we're going to be taken out of the land of the north. Now you've read this all along where it talks about the land of the north, the land of the north. Now you're seeing, he now is saying he's going to take us out of the land of the north.
Come.
All right? Because remember, we were going to be gathered to the land of the north. Now we're going to be taken out of the land of the north. Go on.
To the land that I have given for an inheritance unto your fathers.
So the land is the land that is given unto our fathers. An inheritance unto our fathers. Go on.
Come.
So in order to understand this a little bit more, we have to then go back to the book of Leviticus. Let's go there. Let's position ourselves there. So the nations, it says, I have given, read the latter clause of 3 and 18 again for me, please.
Jeremiah chapter 3, verse 18. In those days, Salaki, the latter clause, and they shall come together out of the land of the north,
Out of the land of the north.
to the land that I have given for an inheritance unto your fathers.
Now, the reasons why this is so important is because what they did was, they cut us off from our land. Now I'm going to see who's kind of good with the history here and who's been following. Now they've cut us off from our land. How did they do that? Yes, ma'am. Excellent. Excellent, excellent, excellent. They created what is called the Suez Canal. The Suez Canal was a canal. A canal can be anything. It can be wide. It can be small. Over in Europe, they used to use canals to travel from one country to another without going into the sea. So what the sea was, it was too rough, too turbulent. So they built these barges that could go up and down canals, which is what I guess you would call over here riverways. And this allowed them to traffic from one end of a country to another end of the country. Now make a note of this, please. Write this down, please. In 1859, you need to know this, 1859, they started to build it. When did they finish it, for those of you that are scholarly? They started in what did I say? 59, and they finished it, so it took them 10 years. So then they finished it in 1869, right? Now, when they built this, in fact, before we jump ahead too quickly, let's go to Leviticus chapter 18 and 2 first. Let's cover that. Because remember, that whole purpose is to change the history. And you're going to see why when we read the scripture, it says that they had crafty counsel. Right, so Leviticus chapter, what did I say? 18 and 2, very good, go ahead.
The book of Leviticus, chapter 18, and verse 2.
Read.
Speak unto the children of
Go
Israel,
on.
and say unto them, I am the Most High, your God.
Read.
After the doings of the land of Egypt, wherein ye dwelt, shall ye not do.
All right. So it says, after the doings of the land of Egypt, wherein,
Ye dwelt,
go on,
shall ye not do.
shall you not do. What does that mean? Go ahead, sir.
Me?
Go ahead.
About the it means that you don't follow the customs or the
Good.
philosophies or any
Good. Good. That's excellent. It means we do not follow the laws of the land.
That's right.
You're there, but when it says follow the law, meaning don't get wrapped up in them. Because there are certain laws you have to abide by, but there are other laws that you could choose to opt out. Now, so it says, read it again, sir.
Leviticus chapter 18 and verse 2. Speak unto the children of Israel, and say unto them, I am the Most High, your God.
Go on.
After the doings of the land of Egypt, wherein ye dwelt, shall ye not do.
So don't do the things that you learned in Egypt. Go on.
And after the doings of the land of Canaan, whither I bring you, shall ye not do.
Go on.
Neither shall ye walk in their ordinances.
Don't walk in their laws.
Come.
Is that what it's saying?
That's right.
Don't walk in their laws. Go on.
Ye shall do my judgments.
Do what?
Ye shall do my judgments.
Read. Do my laws. Go on.
And keep mine ordinances.
Read.
To walk therein. I am the Most High, your God.
Read.
Ye shall therefore keep my statutes.
Keep what?
Keep my statutes
Go on.
and my judgments, which if a man do, he shall live in them.
You shall live in them.
I am the Most High.
Yes.
Now remember, it is prevalent for us to always keep making ourselves to be like the other nations. So when you go to First Maccabees, chapter 1, verse 11, read for me, please.
First Maccabees, chapter 1 and verse 11, page 114. In those days went there out of Israel wicked men who persuaded many, saying, Let us go and make a covenant with the heathen
Read.
that are round about us.
Read.
For since we departed from them, we have had much sorrow.
Go on.
So this device pleased them well.
Go on.
Then certain of the people were so forward herein that they went to the king, who gave them license to do after the ordinances of the heathen.
Of the heathen.
Come.
Now jump down to verse 40, go to verse 43.
Come. First Maccabees chapter 1 and verse 43. Yea.
Hold it. 41.
Come. Verse 41. Moreover, King Antiochus wrote to his whole kingdom that all should be one people,
Go on.
and everyone should leave his laws.
Leave what?
Leave his laws.
Read.
So all the heathen agreed according to the commandment of the king.
Read.
Yea, many also of the Israelites consented to his religion
Go on.
and sacrificed unto idols and profaned the Sabbath.
Profane the Sabbath. So they changed the laws. We got caught up in that. So when we go back now with what you just read, it's showing you that our people got caught up. Well, just give me a minute. Thank you, sir. Thank you. So, thank you so much. Now, ladies and gentlemen, what I want you to do is this. Let's sit and build a little something here. Go back to Joel chapter 3. Keep in mind what you just read in Leviticus chapter 18. Let's go to Joel now. All right. Let's read Joel chapter 3 and 2, please.
Come. The book of Joel, chapter 3
And verse 2.
and verse 2. I will also gather all nations and will bring them down into the valley of Jehoshaphat,
Go on.
and will plead with them there for my people and for my heritage Israel, whom they have scattered,
Who they what?
whom they have scattered
Go on.
among the nations,
Go on.
and parted my land,
And did what?
and parted my land.
There is your precept about the parting of the land.
Come.
Parted the land.
That's right.
They cut a Suez Canal in there. Now, here's the thing. Many of you have read this and you say to yourself, okay, so they cut a canal. But remember, we read the scripture said, and they shall cut them off. Cut them off. Now, this is why you have to understand the shrewdness of this devil. He cut off, he parted the land of Judea, today is called Palestine, from Africa. Now, remember, they walked into Africa and walked out of Africa. Now you can't do it because the Suez Canal, it is now over 500 yards wide. That ships pass backwards and forwards on this thing. It's 75 or 79 feet deep. So they could have destroyers go up and down there. Now, what was the point of this? It was for military and for merchandising strategy. Because now, if you could see a map, I'm trying to visualize a map. You can go from the Mediterranean Sea, go down the Suez Canal, and come all the way out that you're now back on the backside of Africa, which is East Africa. The backside of East Africa takes you all the way around to India and to China quicker. Whereas before, they had to sail all the way around Europe, going all the way down from Portugal, Spain, going all the way down until they came down past Africa, going all the way down to the Horn of Africa, and then coming all the way back up. That took months.
Yep.
Now, they're making a journey that took months, weeks. Read it again from the top, please.
The book of Joel, chapter 3 and verse 2. I will also gather all nations and will bring them down into the valley of Jehoshaphat.
Bring them where?
Down into the valley of Jehoshaphat.
Go on.
And will plead with them there for my people
Go on.
and for my heritage Israel,
Go on.
whom they have scattered among the nations and parted my land.
Go on.
And they have cast lots for my people and have given a boy for a harlot.
So what they do, they prostitute the boys. That's how homosexuality came about into our people. They trained our boys. So by the time that they found themselves at their masters, they would be boys who had a proclivity towards men as opposed to women. This is how they destroyed us. That's why you see when people turn around and say, well, the Lord's going to have mercy. How do you have mercy on people who did that? Huh? How do you have mercy on them? That makes no sense. Makes no sense whatsoever. You've got to be able to let the Most High do what He's going to do and don't get involved in it.
That's right.
He knows what's best.
Come.
And so let's go back and read what we got. Let's read verse 3 again, please.
Come. Joel chapter 3 and verse 3. And they have cast lots for my people and have given a boy for a harlot and sold a girl for wine that they might drink.
Go on.
Yea, and what have ye to do with me?
Now, by the way, let's back up a little bit. When you read the scripture, you must be saying, okay, so what is the timeline of this? This happened in several different points, but one of the focus points that we can centralize this on is in 1619. So make a note of that, please. 1619. 1619. Now, Let's jump back up to the latter clause, if you please, on verse 2.
Yes, sir.
Let's put that in perspective.
Joel chapter 3 and latter clause of verse 2. It says, with them, there for my people and for my heritage Israel, whom they have scattered among the nations and parted my land.
Now, the part of the land was how they created what today we call the Middle East. Because there was no such thing as the Middle East before.
No.
Now, question out to you. Why do they use the term Middle East? Can anyone tell me? Anyone online, please share.
Go ahead, sir.
They use the term Middle East to take us in our mind is to change people's mind. In other words, that's our home. So we have to keep up with names. If you take away a piece of name,
Hold it. Slow that down a little bit and be more specific. Say what you said again. I'm going to repeat it for those who are online trying to hear what you're saying. Go on.
okay, first of all, there's no such thing as Middle East, but it's
Yeah,
created.
there is no such thing as Middle East. It is a created term. Go on.
It was created to take so that we will not have in remembrance of where we were from, because we were originally from that part of so-called Ethiopia, Africa. And if you have to keep up name. If you take the names out of everything as generations go on,
All right. That's good, but Dan, I need more. What you said was not wrong, but I need more. Why is it that they have made this big deal of making it the Middle East? Now, for those of us that went to school over in Europe, that you may know this. Why? All right, let's see if I can help you out with that. If you rename a country and you say to everyone, the country is now going to be called the Middle East, and that term came about, I believe, in the late 1800s, but didn't take until the early 1900s. I think it was 1905 or thereabouts, 1902, 1905. Now, when that happened, the purposes of it, that was America pushing it. Because now, remember, they're trying to change the history books. Go to Daniel chapter 7. And here, they want you to think what they want you to think and not what you presume it to be. Let's read.
The book of Daniel, chapter 7 and verse 25. And he shall speak great words against the Most High, and shall wear out the saints of the Most High, and to think to change times and laws, and they shall be given unto his hand until a time and times and the dividing of times.
So it's letting you know that the times are going to change. They're going to change how you perceive countries and traditions. And remember, they have control over the film world. So every film that they show, notice how they've been showing Egyptians as looking white. Egyptians were never white. Oh, but I can prove to you that Egyptians were white. Okay. Under what dynasty? Now, if you're speaking about the Greek, and you're speaking about Ptolemy, who made himself like an Egyptian as an act of show, then I understand that. But that's not an Egyptian. That's a Greek liking the Egyptian mystical way. And remember, it was the Greeks who took all of the writings of the Egyptians, took their knowledge, took their mystique, took everything that they had and rubbed out the name of the Egyptians and put in the name of the Greeks. So many of the books you're reading and the philosophies and the thoughts and the ideologies of mechanics and medicine came from the Egyptians first, not from the Greeks. You've been made to believe that because they have changed everything. Read it again, sir.
The book of Daniel, chapter 7 and verse 25. And he shall speak great words.
Great words, meaning he's going to use words that give him authority. Go on.
Great words against the Most High.
Go on.
And shall wear out the saints
And wear us out that we don't even know, remember who we are. Go on.
Come. And wear out the saints of the Most High. And to think to change times.
Change what?
Change times.
He changed the times, but now you operate by a different time. The times you're meant to operate from is based upon the moon.
Come.
He has given you a Gregorian calendar that everybody follows religiously, given you days in the week that you follow religiously, and all the days of the week and the months, they're all named after gods, pagan gods. And it's so in your mouth now that you'll say, I'm going to go next week Thursday and do something. And you're calling the name of the God and don't even know it. Oh, next week Wednesday we're going to do such and such. And that's the name of a God. We've been so bamboozled, so fooled, so destroyed that we are following the so-called Greekish or Edomite way and not even realize.
That's right.
Read on.
To think to change times and laws, and they shall be given into his hand until a time and times and the dividing of time.
So he said that they have a time that they're going to do what they're going to do, and after their time is over, then it comes to an end.
That's right.
You have a question over there? Oh, 1 minute. Go ahead.
Oh,
Drop it quickly.
I just said it was just when you mentioned that earlier, I thought about the book written by George M. James called The Stolen Legacy, where he talks about how all the Egyptian philosophy is really, all the Greek philosophy that they have is really Greek philosophers.
Right. All of the Egyptian philosophy is all of what the Greeks have and call it Greek philosophy is really Egyptian philosophy. Yes, indeed. That's a fact. Because remember, how does a nation like the Grecians come along and in a few short years, they're giving thousands of years of medical record. Remember, the Egyptians were doing brain surgery, thousands of years. I mean, mankind now are just getting into it and they're making a bunch of it. The Egyptians were doing this long ago. The Egyptians learned from them. And by the way, some of those philosophers that you know of, and I'm not going to tell you which one right now, but such as Plato, Aristotle, and all of those, you'd be surprised, who they are. In fact, if I was to tell you that Socrates was in fact a black man and a Jew, you'd be like, what? Yes, he is, and he was. And but all of the movies have portrayed him always to be someone who is Caucasian. And that's why it said he has changed the times. Let's get back to Book of Joel. Let's finish a little bit more there so I can move on. Get ready to close.
Come, the book of Joel, chapter 3 and verse 4.
Yep.
Yea, and what have ye to do with me, O Tyre and Zidon?
So Tyre and Zidon, that's Africa. Go on.
And all the coast of Palestine.
All right, let's drop that now. Let's go, if you please. Do I want to right now? Jump down to verse 5, I think.
Verse 5. Because ye have taken my silver.
You've taken my silver, go on.
And my gold.
Now, they've gone to our African countries, they've taken all the silver, all the gold, all of the germanium, and all of the what do you call it? I call it aluminium. What do you call it? Aluminum. Yeah, we call it aluminium. You call it aluminum. So they've got there and they've taken all those things out and export them all around the world like you have it. And here's what is so bothersome about me. When I said it just the other day. How is it that you keep calling us third world if you keep coming to our country and taking the stuff out?
That's right.
If you're taking the gold out, then we can't be third world.
That's right.
You're taking the silver and the diamonds and the rubies and the gems. You're taking them out and bringing them to your country, and yet you call us third world. Where the heck you get that from? Come on. You're thieves. You're murderers. That's what you are. Pillagers. And so, finish it for me, please.
Come, Joel chapter 3 verse 5. Because ye have taken my silver and my gold, and have carried into your temples my goodly pleasant things. The children also of Judah and the children of Jerusalem have ye sold unto the Grecians, that ye might
Hold
remove
on.
them.
You have done what?
Salaki, that ye have sold unto the Grecians.
So it says, the children also of Judah and the children of Jerusalem
Come.
have you sold unto the Grecians, and the Grecians are the Edomites.
That's right.
Go ahead.
It's the book of Obadiah, verse 7. All the men of thy confederacy have brought thee even to the border. The men that were at peace with thee have deceived thee.
Have what?
Have deceived thee,
Have deceived us. Go on.
and prevailed against thee. They that eat thy bread have laid a wound under thee. There is none understanding in him. Shall I not in that day, saith the Most High, even destroy the wise men out of Edom, and the understanding out of the mount of Esau, and thy mighty men, O Teman, shall be destroyed. Salaki, shall be dismayed,
Shall be dismayed.
to the end that every one of the mount of Esau may be cut off by slaughter for thy violence against thy brother Jacob.
Against who?
Against thy brother Jacob.
Go on.
Shame shall cover thee, and thou shalt be cut off forever in that day that thou stoodest on the other side, in the day that the strangers carried away captive his forces, and foreigners enter into his gates, and cast lots upon Jerusalem. Even thou was as one of them.
Okay, let's cut that now. Let's get back to Joel chapter 3, and let's read on from verse 7, sir.
Come, Joel chapter 3 and verse 7. Behold, I will raise them out of the place where ye have sold them,
So out of the places that we were sold, he says he's going to raise us. Go on.
and will return your recompense upon your own
And
head.
the thing that you did to us is going to come back on you. Go on.
Come, and will sell your sons.
And he says, now because you sold ours, we are going to sell yours. Go on, your
And
sons.
your Salaki, and I will sell your sons and your daughters
Read.
into the hand of the children of Judah.
So, see that? They're going to be sold to us. We're going to have, in fact, we won't call it Black Wall Street. We may call it White Wall Street. And what will happen is, we will have you line up. By the way, in case you get upset, don't get upset with me now. I'm reading what the scripture says.
Come,
We're going to have you stand up, stripped naked, turned around. We're going to shame you. And we will buy you, and some of you will say, that's not even worth a nickel.
come,
We're going to completely debase you. Why? Because that's what you did to us. And so it says, read it again from the top.
come. Joel chapter 3 verse 8. And I will sell your sons and your daughters into the hand of the children of Judah,
Read.
and they shall sell them to the Sabians,
And then, if we don't like you, we'll sell you on to the Arabs. Go on.
to a people
And
far off.
By the way, this is speaking of Edom.
Come,
But don't forget, the Arabs are going to get the same thing too.
come.
Because I know you say, sometimes you do, those who are listening will say, oh, Pastor, you're always talking about the Edomite, the Edomite, the Edomite. But what did I say to you in the book of Psalms 83? It said that they are at the top of the list.
Come.
So they have to be treated really wretchedly because they're the culprits. But remember, the Japanese, the Chinese, the Arab man, the East Indian man, they're all going to get the same medicine because they all were complicit in this.
Come.
So now when we go back now, read verse, what verse were you at? 8, finish 8 please.
Come. Joel chapter 8, select Joel chapter 3 and verse 8, latter clause. To a people far off, for the Most High have spoken it.
Most High what?
The Most High have spoken it.
The Most High has spoken this.
That's right.
Daniel chapter 11 and 16, let's go.
Daniel chapter 11 and verse 16.
Go ahead.
It reads, but he that cometh against him,
Listen to this carefully, please. Go on.
but he that cometh against him shall do according to his own will. and none shall stand before him. And he shall stand in the glorious land, which by his hand shall be consumed.
Go on.
He shall also set his face to enter with the strength of his whole kingdom, and upright ones with him. Thus shall he do.
All right. Jump back to 14, please.
Verse 14. And in those times there shall many stand up against the king of the south,
Go on.
also the robbers of thy people,
That's the one I wanted. Go on.
shall exalt themselves to establish the vision.
Because we have been robbed. I mean, you robbed people. Not as in taking things from you, just taking people as gold and robbed them. Go on.
But Salaki, and also the robbers of thy people.
What? Stop from the top. Come down.
Come, Daniel chapter 11, verse 14. And in those times there shall many stand up against the king of the south.
Go on.
Also the robbers of thy people shall exalt themselves to establish the vision,
Go on.
but they shall fall.
Go on.
So the king of the north shall come and cast up a mount and take the most fenced cities, and the arms of the south shall not withstand.
Shall not what?
Shall not withstand.
All right. So from there, let's drop that down. Let's quickly go. Come home now. Isaiah 34 and 8. Let's deal with the Lord's recompense. Isaiah
Chapter 34, verse
34 and 8. Yep.
Come. The book of Isaiah, chapter 34 and verse 8. For it is the day of the Most High's vengeance,
Read.
in the year of recompenses, for the controversy of Zion.
What?
For the controversy of Zion.
Go on.
And the streams thereof shall be turned into pitch,
Go on.
and the dust thereof into brimstone.
Go on.
And the land thereof shall become burning pitch. It shall not be quenched night nor day. The smoke thereof shall go up forever. From generation to generation it shall lie waste. None shall pass through it forever and ever.
Amen. Amen. Now let's go from here, if you please, to Ezra chapter 4 and 1. I want to just end on this. I just want to show you something. Oh, go ahead, please. Isaiah 34 and verse 10. Yes, indeed, ma'am. Let's go back and read it again.
Yes, sir.
Isaiah chapter 34 and verse 10. It shall not be quenched night nor day. The smoke thereof shall go up forever. From generation to generation it shall lie waste. None shall pass through it forever and ever.
Now, when it says forever and ever, does that mean all throughout all eternity? Not necessarily.
Come.
But it means for a very long period of time that the United States of America will never be what it once was. It's going to stay a desolate land. The scripture says there's going to be wild beasts on it. Go ahead.
This is Isaiah chapter 34 and verse 6. The sword of the Most High is filled with blood. It is made fat with fatness, and with the blood of lambs and goats, and the fat of the kidneys of rams. For the Most High hath a sacrifice in Basra, and a great slaughter in the land of Idumea.
Go on.
And the unicorns shall come down with them, and the bullocks with the bulls, and their land shall be soaked with blood, and their dust made fat with fatness.
Now, when it says unicorn, it's not speaking about the horse with the thing, it's speaking about rhinoceros. So the rhinoceroses will be here at that time, roaming wildly and tearing up things. And, but there'll be a whole list of creatures that were once on the earth that are no longer, that will be brought back to be in that country, be in that plane. Because remember, it's going to be so terrible that even the other nations will not want to come here, not even to look, because it will be that dangerous. Come on? All right, let's go. What did I say?
Ezra.
4 and 1.
First Ezra chapter 4 and 1.
Ezra, as in Ezra in the scriptures.
The book of Ezra, chapter 4 and verse 1. Now when the adversaries of Judah and Benjamin heard that the children of the captivity builded the temple unto the Most High God.
Right down a bit, go on.
So now, when the adversaries of Judah and Benjamin heard that the children of the captivity builded the temple unto the Most High God of Israel, then they came to Zerubbabel and to the chief of the fathers.
Now, listen to this carefully, please. Go ahead.
And said unto them, Let us build with you, for we seek your God, as ye do. And
What? Now, this is Esau saying, and the other nations saying, we do what you do, so we are entitled like you're entitled, because we do what you do. Read it again, sir.
Come, Ezra chapter 4 and verse 2. Then they came to Zerubbabel and to the chief of the fathers, and said unto them, Let us build with you, for we seek your God, as ye do. And we do sacrifice unto him since the days of Esarhaddon, king of the Assyrians, which brought us up hither. But Zerubbabel and Joshua and the rest of the chief of the fathers of Israel said unto them, Ye have nothing to do with us to build a house unto our God.
See that? Now, the reason why he said that, tell me why is he saying that, and what's the scripture to back that up? Anyone? Scripture that everybody knows. Go ahead. Psalm 147. Hold that. Go there. Read it. The reason why that's your go-to psalm is because if the law was given to you, you are responsible for it.
That's right.
Nobody else. That's why all these other nations who pick up the Bible now, they're reading it and they get all teary-eyed and looking up into space, and like, something's going to happen. And then you get, one thing you find with Edom, that they always like to smile at you, like their smiling shows the face of God. Go to the lake with that mess.
That's right.
It doesn't work.
Yeah.
Because that is not how we operate. We operate by the Spirit of the Word of the Most High God. Read, sir.
The book of Psalm, chapter 147, verse 19. He showeth his word unto Jacob, his statutes and his judgments unto Israel.
See, so it says it's to Jacob, to Israel. Go on.
He have not.
Hold it. Read.
He have not.
Say it again. Read.
He have not.
Go on.
Dealt so with any nation.
With what?
With any nation.
A few.
With any nation.
Any of them have not been dealt in this way. None of them.
Come.
Not one single one. Not one of them. Not one of them.
That's right. And as for his judgments, they have not known them.
See?
Praise ye the Most High.
So go back to where you were reading now and read it again from verse 2. Come on down.
The book of Ezra, chapter 4 and verse 2. Then they came to Zerubbabel and to the chief of the fathers, and said unto them, Let us build with you, for we seek your God, as ye do, and we do sacrifice unto him, since the days of Esarhaddon, king of Ashur, which brought us up hither. But Zerubbabel and Joshua and the rest.
So by the way, it's telling you how far back when they were they're practicing this.
Come.
Because they saw the brilliance and the power of our God. Because it said Asar. And Asar is who?
Assyrians.
The Assyrians. Go on.
Which brought us up hither, but Zerubbabel and Jeshua and the rest of the chief of the fathers of Israel said unto them,
Read.
Ye have nothing.
Have what?
Ye have nothing.
You have what?
Ye have nothing
Read.
to do with us to build a house unto our God.
Read.
But we ourselves together will build unto the Most High God
Go on.
of Israel.
Go on. Read.
As King Cyrus, the king of Persia, have commanded us.
Now watch this. Read.
Then the people of the land weakened the hands of the people of Judah and troubled them in building.
So they made things difficult for them. Go
Come.
on.
And hired counselors against them.
Have we not seen that before?
Come.
Go on.
And to frustrate their purpose all the days of Cyrus, king of Persia, even unto the reign of Darius, king of Persia.
King of Persia. See? This is what they do. This is what they do.
Come.
So let's finish up. Final scripture, Amos chapter 9 and 11.
The book of Amos, chapter 9 and verse 11.
Go on.
In that day will I raise up the tabernacle of David that is fallen, and close up the breaches thereof, and I will raise up his ruins, and I will build it as in the days of old,
Go on.
that they may possess the remnant of Edom and of all the heathen, which are called by my name,
Go on.
saith the Most High that doeth this. Behold, the days come, saith the Most High.
All right. Now, what verse are you reading right
Verse 13.
now? I want you to jump back to verse 12 for a quick minute.
Come. Amos chapter 9 and verse 12. That they may possess the remnant of Edom and of all the heathen.
Now, let me just explain something to you, and you're going to have to take note of this. Whereas in verse 12, it was changed to include Edom. Verse 12 was changed to include Edom. Now, how do we know this? Where's your proof? Well, the proof is if you get the 1569 Bible, Spanish Bible, if you get that and you read it, you will see that it doesn't exist. That statement is no way written. Go back to the older Bibles as well. It's not in there. It's not in there. They made the adjustment because remember what we just read. They changed everything, suit them, make the narrative suit them. So the key is if you go to Isaiah. We're coming back to Amos, so don't lose it. No, Isaiah 63 and 17. Let's read.
Isaiah chapter 63 and verse 17. O Most High, why hast thou made us to err from thy ways, and hardened our heart from thy fear? Return for thy servant's sake the tribes of thine inheritance.
Go on.
The people of thy holiness have possessed it but a little while.
Go on.
Our adversaries have trodden down thy sanctuary.
Go on.
We are thine. Thou never bearest rule over them. They were not called by thy name.
They were what?
They were not called by thy name.
They were not called by thy name. God.
Come.
All right, so let's go back.
This is Amos chapter 9 and verse 12. That they may possess the remnant of Edom and of all thine heathen, which are called by which are called by my name, saith the Most High that doeth this.
So you notice what we just read in Isaiah 63 and 17.
Come,
It said, who are called by his name? We are called by his name.
come.
None of the other nations are called by his name. But this here, this is done as a trickery. I won't spend time on it now because that's not the focus of the lesson. But I just wanted to drive that point home because we want to finish. We want to go right now. Verse 15. Go on.
Amos chapter 9 and verse 13. Behold, the days come, saith the Most High, that the plowman shall overtake the reaper.
Hold it. Now, that the plowman shall overtake the reaper, right?
Come.
The plowman is us.
Come.
All right, let's see if you know the next one. Then. Go on.
And the treader of grapes, him that soweth seed, and the mountains shall drop sweet wine.
Sweet wine. Okay, let's deal with the mountain. What is the mountain dealing with? Right, you've already said it. You jumped ahead. It means God's government. That's what it's focusing on, God's government. Then it says, and the wines and all the hills. What does the hills imply? Why, show of hands. All right. Anybody? All right, go ahead, sir. The man's rules. Okay, go on. Read on.
And all the hills shall melt, and I will bring again the captivity of my people of Israel, and they shall build the waste cities.
All right, so who's going to build the waste cities? Who? Khan. Go on.
And inhabit them, and they shall plant vineyards, and drink the wine thereof. They shall also make gardens, and eat the fruit of them.
Go on.
And I will plant them upon their land, and they shall no more be pulled up out of their land which I have given them, saith the Most High thy God.
Khan. Selah.
Allah.
All right. Any questions from anyone? Any questions online? Any questions, any questions, any questions? It should be good. Questions, 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 please. Whatever you have, let's have it. All right, any hands? No hands? Okay.
Got one.
One, let me have it, please. What's your question?
Just in Joel, when I think 3 verses 5 through 6,
Yes.
it dawned on me that.
Go ahead and read it, sir, so everybody knows what to say.
The book of Joel, chapter 3 and verse 5. Because ye have taken my silver and my gold, and have carried into your temples my goodly and pleasant things.
Go on.
The children, Salaki, the children also of Judah, and the children of Jerusalem, have ye sold into the Grecians.
Right, stop there. Continue.
That they took our, like you were talking about the third world countries. We weren't third world countries. They took our minerals and our treasures, but then we were the treasure too because they also took us.
Correct.
So they really depleted the land, not only of the things, but of the people
Yes.
who knew how to take care of
Right.
it.
Because we were considered to be chattel by them. So when they took us, they took. I remember Africa thrived because the blessings were in Africa, but the people who brought the blessings of Africa to the surface was Israel. Because when we escaped and we went into Israel, we lived there, we created kingdoms. We knew, because of what was in us, how to pull the diamonds, the pearls, and the jewels, and the materials. We knew how to do that. But they used us to do the same things in Egypt.
Right, but some of us are still there, right? Are some of us,
Oh, yes.
Israel still there?
Many of us are still there.
Okay.
And-
And treasures too?
And in terms of the treasures that are in Canaan, because remember Africa was called Canaan land. Canaan is our home. That's why we sing songs about going back to Canaan land. Because when we leave here, we're going back to Canaan. Now, there are those. That's why I see when they, excuse me, this allergies messing me up a little bit. This is why when we go back, we will be in a land that they have cut off, because their goal was to have Palestine cut off from Africa, because the tectonic plate holds Africa and Israel are all in the same one. They're not separated. But when they cut the land, they only cut the surface, because the true Africa is beneath. You see, even though they've separated the land, they haven't separated us real. For that to happen, we would have to be on a different tectonic plate. They've already made it look that way visually, but naturally and spiritually, it's ours. All right. So the whole purpose of cutting us off was so that they could say, see, the black land is Africa, the Middle East is the Middle East, and the rest of the land is the rest of the land. Excuse me. Rest of the land. And that's how it was meant to be. But this is what Esau has done. Esau's always been trying to lock us out of our own thing. And when they lock us out of our own thing, the whole purpose is to make us beneath them. That's why when you look at the map of, if you ever get an opportunity, and in fact, do it right now if you can, get pull up the Egyptian map showing Lower Egypt and Upper Egypt. If you do that, when the map comes up, you will see it has, excuse me, it has Upper Egypt in the lower position and Lower Egypt in the higher position. Now that was done because of Ptolemy. Ptolemy said we can't have the black people being above us, so let's turn it around. So now when you read the map with the part that should be up, low, and the part that should be low, high. That's why when you look at that map and you begin to see it, you say to yourself, these devils, and they really are devils. But guess what? They taught it in the school, and no one in the school has turned around and said, hold on a moment, something's wrong with this, because why is the upper lower and the lower upper? Because we're being brainwashed. That's the witchcraft and the brainwashing of the American system, as well as the rest of the world. So we've been made even to look geographically like we are at the bottom, where we're really at the top. It's a terrible thing when a person has that much power that they can fool the entire race of people. Yeah. So even the people that are us, that are still there, they don't even know who they are. And that's why we have to wake them up. Yeah. So when the Most High comes and he collects all of Benjamin, Judah, and Levi, and Issachar, and all the rest from this part of the world, he's taking us right back to Africa. What's called the place. He's taking us right back there. And when he takes us back to that place, we will then begin to see the others who will come, because they will be compelled. It's like there's something in them and in us that draws one another to them. And that's why he said this. He said, if I be lifted up, I will draw all men. All men didn't mean every living color, Moab and all that. That's not what it meant. All men meant all of Israel will be drawn unto me instinctively by the power of Yahweh, by Hashem Mashiach. We're going to be drawn unto him. See? All right. Any other questions? Go ahead.
Question online. Was it just Judah that was taken into the Greek captivity? Was it just Judah that was taken into the Greek captivity, or was some of the northern kingdom also taken?
Um, you will find that we've all been drawn into the captivity, but the the southern kingdom is what you read about primarily when you read the Apocrypha. Primarily when you read the Apocrypha, you're dealing with the southern kingdom. Why? And then one may say, well, where's the proof of that? The proof of that is in Second Ezra. Who could tell me what Second Ezra was? Second Ezra was? Come on, tell me somebody. Come on, you brothers. I'm gonna have to get a thing up for you, brothers. You brothers said blah blah blah. You should be able to drop it on me like that. No, don't be 666. So just tell me what it is. All right. So it's Second Ezra chapter 13, verse 14. Now, when we read that, that lets you know when the northern kingdom was separated from us because they went over to the other part of the world. Go ahead and read it.
Second Ezra chapter 13 and verse 40, page 31 in the Apocrypha. Those are the 10 tribes which were carried away prisoners out of their own land.
See that? So it tells you clearly there. And when did this happen? What's the date? 722 BC.
Come.
So we can leave it there. So the answer to that question is that our people were carried away back in 722 BC, and it tells you it was the Assyrians who did it, and they carried away the northern kingdom. The southern kingdom, however, was still around, and they were now carried away by other groups and other forces. And the other forces it started with was with the Greeks and then the Romans who came to level Jerusalem. We escaped out of there, ran into Africa, or what the scriptures call further into Canaan's land. The scriptures don't call it Africa because it's all Canaan. And so we went into that land and we got lost, and there we developed in the western coast of Canaan. We developed what's called the Kingdom of Judah, and many of our people are still there. And our people, by the way, are all over Africa, north, west, east, and south. We're all over there. That's why you can't say, well, it's only the western coast. No, you can't say that because even in the western coast, there is Ham in the western coast with Shem. Can't?
Yeah.
All right. Any other questions? Go ahead.
I have a question regarding the Moabites and their pursuit of taking the African land now.
Yes.
Is that related to the prior scriptures that talk about the land being taken over, like in 70 AD? Or is there another scripture that relates to that as what's going on right now?
Well, yeah. Moab have always wanted to take the land. Because remember that they lived there. They lived in Judea. They lived in Palestine. But then they were driven out. I think I dealt with that last week when I said that they would go to a land that they'd be pushed to, and then they would be forgotten. So, yeah, they've always wanted to come back there because it is the Fertile Crescent, meaning it's the land that was considered to be Edom in the beginning. Of course, you want to go back to where Edom is, but here they are. Remember where they are right now, where Moab is, where China is, and Japan is. They've made the best of their land, and they've done well where they are. But the richness of resources comes from Canaan land. Canaan land, which is called today Africa, is the land that has everything in it. Now, a person would say, well, and if we are Israel, why aren't we just smack bang in the middle of Canaan land? No, silly. The reason why we're not there is because he has us right up in that northern, eastern peninsula section, because we hold both Africa and the rest of Europe. We hold it. And similarly, it's like right now, the scripture speaks about Issachar, who is the donkey or the ass that bears the weight of two nations. What is that? South America and North America. They're right in between. Well, Israel is like that over there. That means that we lay claim to both of those. Because that's where you want to be. You want to be where you got access to two great sections of land, and you can lay claim to it. And we do. Why? The scripture said, notice what he did. Most High made us walk for 40 years, round about Canaan, round about Palestine, and our feet went everywhere. And it had to then fulfill the prophecy that said that everywhere the soles of our feet shall trod, that belongs to us. But then it's taken even greater than that. Because now the devil decided, I want to take you and put you on some other land masses. You shouldn't have done that. Because when you made us do that, we own it too. So all our descendants that have been taken to all across the globe, and everywhere that soles of our feet, England, we own England. All the islands, any island you think, we own it. All the Americas, we own it. Canada, we own it. Because our feet has been everywhere. And either Most High is a liar or man is a liar. And sure enough, Most High is definitely no liar. Therefore, everywhere that we've gone, it's ours. Baruch atah Yahweh. Go ahead.
So would you say that the Africans, so-called Africans, are suffering similar to what we're suffering because Judah is there, because the 12 tribes are there?
That's the so-called Hamites who are there, who are suffering. They're suffering because they're under another curse. Their curse goes all the way back to the beginning. They did, and I think I taught that many moons ago. But they did something to us in the very beginning that Most High has never forgiven them for. To the degree that Scripture says that they never enter into the congregation of the Most High's people. They'll never enter it.
But so that just couples with what Judah's already receiving as well over there. It's just like they're both aligned with each other and they're both suffering equally for different reasons.
Yes, for different reasons.
I see.
So you look at the people and you say, oh, they're all black. So if they're all black, they all must be Judah or all must be Israel suffering. No, Canaan or Hamites and Shemites are suffering together. The Shemites because of our sin. The Hamites because there's a curse on them. All right. Any other questions online or again? Forgive me for my nasally thing. Can't help it right now. All right. If there's no other questions, to all of those who are online, I just want to give a quick shout out to Officer Yu in Dallas, Texas. He's one of my officers there holding down the fort in that area. If there's any of you who tune into this particular teaching and you like what you hear and you'd like to be a part of a school, we have our officer up there who will greatly, you could sit under him and he would definitely bring you up to scratch. A great teacher. And then we also have Elder Darrell Fields, who's in San Antonio, Texas. He's also holding down the fort there. And again, for those of you that are living in that area and you tune into this teacher and you like what you hear and you'd like to get further, these are men that we could definitely recommend you to. We have some brothers that are overseas. Brother Azariah, he's in London. He's a young man out there that if you're in that area and you're listening and you would like to get further teaching, we can give you his details that you can contact him and he can give you more insight. This will help him to develop the school that's out there. And also we have Brother Dominic, who's in Sheffield. And again, someone who I've known for many, many years. Good young man, sharp, brilliant in his own right. And but we can get you in touch with him too if you need further details. Again, on behalf of all who have continued to support us, we want to continue to thank you for what you're doing. And all those who give, we thank you for your giving. We thank the Most High for the sisters who have, as I said, we have some sisters over in California who are just sharp on the information. And we're kind of thankful for them for they continue to send information that helps keep us all on one accord. We bless the name of the Most High for that. On behalf of myself and officer, we want to wish you to continue to keep giving. If you continue to pray for us, continue to support us. If you're ever in the Houston area, feel free to give us a call and we can get you. You could come and spend the day with us. And we look forward to seeing you again. We are workers together in the vineyard of the Most High God.
Come.
We say to you, Baruch atah Yahweh, Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai, Selah.
Selah.